Well, good afternoon. Again, another clinic coming our way. This time it's Eduardo Becherell is going to be talking to us about techniques for ballasting. Eduardo is an enthusiast. I wish I could talk. Enthusiast. I'm not. We're not. We're having all sorts of technical problems today. Me talking, including. Eduardo is an enthusiastic Mexican modeler with a great passion for the hobby and dedicated to increased knowledge. And he has the only model railroad channel in Spanish, which is good for him to try to get the word out. He's a big NDM, which I believe is the Mexican National Railway, and a CN fan. And he's always open to help others in the hobby and dedicated to improve their techniques. So, Eduardo, if you want to get your presentation and screen sharing ready and maybe give us a bit of introduction, and it's over to you.
Hi, thank you, Bruce. Hello, everybody. That's correct. I am a big fan from NDM and CN. And for today's clinic, I divide the clinic into sections. Today, we're going to share the first section, PowerPoint, some kind of theoretical about ballasting. Then we're going to see a video of how to, not in real time, but how to ballast a small piece. And finally, we're going to talk about some Q&A, small session. But before we start the presentation, I would like to say two things. Yesterday, I read a post on Facebook. Someone was complaining about this character they call Rubik counter because they criticize their layout because look kind of spaghetti look, and there were like five main lines at the same time. And what I like about these spots is that people support that we have different rules, we have different dreams, and I believe the most important is one is your layout, so is your rules. So second, you need to enjoy the hobby. If you, for example, today we're going to talk about ballast, but in other clinic we talk about scenery. There are many ways to do this scenery and ballast. Try to do the best for you. Don't try to do the hobby or the ballast or the scenery for other people's. I believe this is the most important of the hobby, not to do the work for others. Enjoy yourself, share with the family, share with friends, and with that, let's begin. Let me share my screen. Okay, I believe that's it. Bruce, Gordy, can you tell me if my screen?
You good? You good?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, like I said, today we're going to talk about ballasting 101. We're going to talk about some principles and a video and try to have fun today. This is the agenda. We're going to talk about prototypical pictures. We're going to talk about tools. What do we need for ballast? And also, we're going to talk about weather. There's always the question before or after the ballast. Uh, I apply both techniques, and well, we're going to discuss later. And we used to have a video of how to ballast a straight track, and also I have a video where I will show you the difference. It's only one difference of how to ballast. I believe in UK and some parts of Europe called point. In US we call turnout, and also Mexico turnout. And at the end we're gonna talk about some chalk. This is technique of weathering technique for the last steps and in the process. So before we start with prototypical pictures, I would like to say something about what is strategy and how do I take this to the hobby. Back in the school, a teacher told me strategy is to think before you do something. So this is very important. because sometimes you are so enthusiastic, so desperate that you would like to open the box, go straight to the ballast and start gluing and painting, but you don't have an objective. You are so anxious. So for me, the strategy for ballast is that you need to think what is the goal, what is your layout, or perhaps you have a small diorama. And in order to achieve this strategy, what I recommend to use is prototypical pictures. And before I continue, the technique that I will share is my technique, and this is very important. Maybe not the best, and I'm sure that are many other techniques, but at this moment, this is only my technique, and if it's good for you, that's okay. So, in order to achieve the strategy for ballast, we need to use prototypical pictures. And here we have three examples of different ballasts. On your left, we have kind of gray ballast with, I believe, it's concrete ties. And in the middle, there's something different. We have like this black track, and I believe it's wood. And in the other side, on the right, the ballast cover complete the ties. You don't see the ties. The ballast is all around and inside the ties. So this will give you an idea. What is your objective? Perhaps if you like to do something like the picture on your left, we're talking about an industry, we're talking about a main line, and then you see there is like abandoned track next to the main line, and the look is completely different. And in the middle, I believe this picture is from a station, and probably they have good maintenance because the track looks so clean, but the ballast is not great. The color of the ballast is kind of brown and some dark. And in the last picture on the right side, the color is great. It's kind of light gray, but this will give you an idea. What is your strategy for the ballast? So we have another pictures. We have pictures at the station. This picture, particularly, is from Mexico. I believe it's from Old Station in Querétaro. This station is from, well, it maybe has more than 100 years when they built this station, and it has several tracks. I believe the two in the middle are the main lines, and at the side you will find the old tracks. Most of them are with wood ties, but here's a good example how clean the tracks and the ballast look in the station. And if we take a closer look, I believe closer is misspelled, but sorry for that. If we take a closer look, you can see the ties, concrete ties, are clean, absolutely clean. But the color of the rail is brown. Sometimes you will find a rose colors. Sometimes you will find not exactly brown, something like burnt amber or a mix. But here you can see that the color of the ballast is not perfect clean. In order to have this look, you will need to apply some powder or some some kind of turf. You will see in the video how I applied turf to simulate earth around the ballast. But this is also something else that you can have before you start the ballast process. So I divide this into two sections: concrete ties and wood ties. I have these pictures, and I've seen another in Facebook and in real life where the ballast is between between the ties. Let me see. I don't know what happened with my pointer. That's it, my laser point right here. You can see the ballast between the tracks and slightly cover the concrete concrete ties. The concrete ties are clean, perfect clean. Again, the roll is brown color, and here also you will find some ballast in the middle. So these are another points that you need to consider. Okay, if you are gonna use concrete, and if your pictures look like this, you need to be ready to paint the track, to have clean ties, and also to be careful to spread some ballast in the middle in order to achieve this look. This is very important. I've seen some concrete ties where the ballast is kind of brown color, between brown or even black. That depends on the area, the sun, and this is different in every country. So again, you need to check this before you start with concrete tie. In the other hand, we had wood tie. What is the difference? Well, obviously the difference you can see in this picture. The wood looks obviously brown, burnt amber, or a mix of brown and black, but the rails also are brown or rust color sometimes. These are usually old tracks and I believe in some place are still in function, but this is kind of the first track. Most of the modern track are from concrete ties, but if you are in the 50s areas or in 70s or earliest, you should use wood tie, and this will give you another clue of how to use the ballast. Here in this picture, you can also see that we have a mix of gray. It's not completely light gray. We have perhaps some black, we have some gray, and here in the middle is kind of mix between earth, between brown. So you need to be very, uh, how do you say? I don't know. You need to be aware of the pictures. That's something that you want to recreate for your layout or, or small diorama. Also, when we're talking about the wood ties, the old pictures that I found show that sometimes in the middle of the track we have some earth and we have some kind of turf, and they were not always as clean as we imagine. Here you can see two tracks. I believe this is main track and this is kind of side track or perhaps abandoned track. And look, we don't have ballast. We have turf, we have bushes, and the color is completely different. So this is another example. If you are modeling perhaps 50 or 60 era, this will help you. And also we have we'll have a space in the layout, perhaps a small corner, and there's nothing around them. And you decide, okay, I need to do something with that corner. Something that you can do with that corner, or perhaps for a small diorama, you can do abandoned track scene. And these are some pictures of how can you do this scene. And what I found is that most of the abandoned track are from wood ties. And something that I found that the color is not exactly brown, it's kind of gray, and we have a lot of rust, but we have some bushes, we have earth, and this is could be a good idea if you already have ballast the layout, if you already have complete the scene, and then you find a spot and you need to do something, or perhaps an abandoned scene with an old industry. This picture will help you. Uh, Bruce mentioned that I have a channel, a Spanish channel, and I made a tutorial of how I made my abandoned my abandoned track scene. This is my part of my tutorial, and I use the left picture to give me some reference how my scene should look. And what I did is a mix in this picture. Here you can see a main line, and then we have abandoned track. Obviously, we need to finish the scene because you can still hear some pink foam. But the thing that I want to show you is you need to practice not once, not twice. You need to practice as many times as you need in order that you be glad with your results. And it's always good to have some reference. So I tried to duplicate this picture, and at the end, I achieved something very decent, very proper for me. And this is something not exactly talking about ballast because this is it's a little different, but this is important. If you have a mainland, sometimes you will need the abandoned track next next to the mainland. Okay, again, before we continue, practice. In your left, this is a picture from the Mexican station in Querétaro, and what I try to do is to duplicate the same in my layout. Unfortunately, this picture is not really good because I use brown color, and in the picture I think it looks kind of black. But believe me, this used to be brown color, and these shadows in the back of the picture is from turf from Woodland Scenics that I apply in the process. And again, this is not perfect, but it's the only way that you will improve. Practice, practice, and practice. This is important. You don't need to have a big layout. You only need a small piece of track you will see on the video, and you can practice with a small piece. If you are satisfied, then go to the layout and replicate what you have done. If you want to change technique, you can do it in a small piece again and again. At the end, this is very important. The work and the layout is for you. Don't be worried about other people's. Don't be worried about, oh, is this is proper? Does this look good? Is this prototypically perfect? Uh, I know that many people are experts, are model masters, and that's okay. If they want to duplicate the reality and they can achieve, it's okay. But don't be stressed by this. Don't try to be perfect at the first time. So you need to practice. You need to change different balance, different colors, and you will find something for you, and you will discover if it looks nice for you, it will look nice for your friends and for your family. So that's enough of strategy for ballast. The main point was you need to have pictures. You need to have in mind what is your goal. Do you want to have abandoned side track, or do you need to have only mainline? And you need to define this. I recommend that the first step is going to be the easy step. And I believe the easy step is try to do simple ballast, mainline, no bushes, no air color, nothing, just ballast. And then eventually you will work to have different colors, different variations, and different looks. This is my advice. Begin with the easiest part. Okay, tools. Obviously, we need to have some ballast. For these clinics, I choose wool and scenic ballast, but I believe you can have other options like Scenic Express, and also heard about that some people use real earth. Uh, I use that method, and but for me it's a lot of work because you need to go outside, collect the earth, you need to separate the ballast, you need to clean the ballast, and they recommend to cook the ballast because they say could be some live organisms in the ballast, and after you apply the ballast, some small trees will grow up in the layout. So this is kind of complex, so it is a different technique. And even some people talk about to use some sand, the one that you use for the cats. I'm not sure about the technique because the sand for the cats has something to with the to smell different, and I also they absorb the water in a bigger ratio than the normal ballast. So for this clinic, I will keep it straight with woodland scenic ballast, and what I use is a mix. Woodland scenic has three presentations. They have the small ballast, medium, and the coarse ballast. If you are in HU scale, I recommend to use half of small ballast and half of medium ballast. If you are in the N scale, I would recommend only use small ballast. Then we need to have a kind of glue mix. And in the glue mix, we have two options. The most common and the cheaper is to create a mix 50-50 PVA, glue, and water. That's it. That's only that you will need. Any brand, this is Mexican brand, but you could have Elmer's brand or PVA generic brand, doesn't matter. You will need to have 50-50 of glue and water. And if you are using the mix of 50-50 PVA and water, you need to have wet water. What is wet water? Simple. Water and some drops of dishwasher. Here I have my bottle. I have water and a few drops of dishwasher. This will allow you to break the tension in the ballast, and the glue will penetrate all the way to have a perfect bond with the product. This will help you only if you are using the PVA water, then you will need to use the wet water. Other option that is in the market is a little expensive, but it could you could use this in a small diorama, in small tracks. Woolen Scenics also have scenic cement. This is ready to use. You open the bottle and spray in the track. You don't need wet water for the Woolen Scenics. Obviously, you will need to spend more money, but I when I start, I use this, but I recommend only for small dioramas. For big layout, it's preferred and cheaper to use the PVA solution. What else do you need? You will need different side of brushes. Here you see I have two brushes. I believe this is one 1 inch thick brush or 2.5 centimeters. And also I have a small brush. You will see in the video how I use this brush to move around the ballast in the scene. I also use a spoon, uh, eyedropper or similar. I have a small eyedropper because this was a small section, but if you have a big layout, you can use like a ketchup can or similar in order to have the PVA mix. And also it's a good idea to have small glass, plastic glass. I already have my mix of 50-50 medium and small ballast in this glass. So these are the basic tools. With this, you can achieve your first ballast. But if you want to do something beyond the first, you will need to apply some weather techniques to the ballast. And you will use acrylic paint. You can use brown, burnt umber, similar, uh, spray can, chalks, turf, and bushes. This is my pan pastels chalks I use for many other things. And in this picture, I have a mixed. Here you can see that I have acrylic paint on the rails. I have turf on the ballast. I have bushes, and this is real earth. This is real earth, but this is like the final steps in order to weather the scene. So this take us to the next question: whether before or after. Obviously, if you make this question on Facebook, or if you ask a friend, they will give you different answers. They will say this is better because I'm used to do this way. And other people will say, oh, you should do after because I always do after. At the end, my recommendation, try both techniques. In the video, I use a mix of before and after technique. And I have used both techniques and worked great for me, looked great for me, and I think that you need to experiment and you will decide what is the best for you. For example, on the left, I have a small diorama. I was working in small jar and I have four tracks. So I decided to use a spray can before the ballast. So what I did, I carved the seam. This used to be a pink foam. Then I paint with brown. I glue the track, and then I apply the spray all over the seam. Obviously, this will give you different looks, but if you have a big layout, this could be a technique for you. Use a spray can and do all this once at a time. And in the other side, this is again the same picture of my small diorama, and I apply after I ballast the the track. I use a small pencil and I use the rose colored for the track and also add details. And in the middle, I use some powder for the chalk. So the important thing, before or after, you will decide. In the video, you will see a mixed technique. And, and again, you need to practice. The best result is when you have done the job, you will see what is best for you. Okay, Bruce Gordy, I believe that it's time for the video. I need to change the screen and put the video.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to go. So,
Okay, just give me 1 minute, or maybe minute,
yeah, no
maybe
problem.
less. Okay, I believe I'm ready. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, it's just loading now. I'm just gonna make it go full screen. Full screen. Okay,
Okay,
ready to go.
just let me push the button. Ready? Okay. Okay, like I said, I will use a mixed technique of weathering before and after. The first thing, I will use some tape.
Eduardo, are you playing your video? Because we're not seeing it play.
Oh, yes, I'm supposed that I'm playing the video. Let me try to do this again. Sure. Okay, can you see the video? This is my hand with
No,
that track.
No, just a. But I see the video screen, but I don't see the video. I just see a black screen in your cursor.
Oh, let me see. Because I never share a video with media. Okay, sure. Hmm.
You might need to share your whole screen for this to work, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let me share all the screen instead of the only the video.
So just for everybody that's watching, just for the benefit of everyone, this was all prepared to go on our server before our server decided to
To,
recreate Chernobyl. I can see your hand holding a piece of track now, so
oh,
this may work.
oh, okay, that's right. So I was thinking that I would use a mix of weather before and after. And the first step is to use tape in the reels. Let me just play the video. And if something happened, please let me know. Okay, then I use my spray can. This is brown color, and just let it dry for 2 or 3 hours. That's it. That's simple. Then I remove the tape and I use this color, this rust color with a small brush. You can see the difference in both tracks. I have the brown color with the rust color in the upper side, and in the other is a complete track with no weather. So this will give you something different. This is kind of easy. The only part that you need to be careful is when you are using the tape to cover the track. But this technique works easy for me, and I choose rose color, but you can use then I will not talk about how to glue the track in order to complete the time. But I already have my mix of 50-50 of ballast, and here you will see how I use the spoon. And I always begin in the middle. Uh, I use the spoon, try to cover all the track, not only in the middle. I also use in the sides, and then I choose my small brush. This is a kind of brush, a makeup brush, or to experiment with different brush. This is very important. The next minutes are the most important for the technique. You need to spend some time on this. Try to do easy with no rush. You go forward, backward, and try. For this scene, my objective is that the ties are almost clean, so I need to spread all the ballast in the track. And sometimes you will need to use the finger, then you can use the tip of the brush and small hit on the track. Then then the ballast will move to to find a place between between the between the ties, like so. The you will spend more time, and after you finish the first, you will need to add more ballast into the sides. I'm using the pink foam, and then I'm using road bed from Wood and Scenic, so I need to use more ballast in order to cover all the area. You need to cover the black road bed that you see, but if you have cork, it's the same. You need to use uh, some ballast, then small brush to do the size like this. You can do this once, twice, as many times until you see the ties that are completely. Okay, I work the scene, and I'm still working on the side. You can see how I use the small brush, how I clean the ties. in the outside, you can see the small ties that emerge from all this ballast. Again, this is very important. Take your time. If you like a beer, take a beer. Try to do this nice, enjoy it, and you will find a small section. Okay, it's a little. At the end, you will have something like this. And if you want to go further, you can use a small pin or a toothpick, like, and remove the small pieces. This is kind of Rubik counter technique, but I like it. I use a small pin and then gently remove the ballast in the dice. Once again, this is gonna be perhaps some tedious, but I use this technique to free my mind and think some other things. But spend much time as you want, and remember always to have a picture on the side. Then one look. This is the side look. Try to check everything again. You believe this is everything done? Stop. Look if this is what you want for your layout. For me, when I made this video, this is my objective. I believe that I properly have done what I imagined, and I believe that I'm ready to apply the glue. But always before the glue, one last check, check if everything looks okay. Then first use the wet water, soak all the area perfectly. You see? Then after you apply the wet water, look if the ballast doesn't move. If the ballast move, again use a small pin, a toothpick, and put in place, back in place. Then this is how I apply my PVA mix. I use a small eyedropper, but if you have a big layer out, you can use a ketchup can, like I said. Again, soak all the area. This look kind of messy, but don't worry. 24 hours later, this will be solid as a rock. And this is a small tip for you. The ballast is fresh. When the ballast is fresh with the PVA solution, try to apply some turf, earth color turf. This will give you a different look, not only great. And then this is the final result. Here you can see that I applied the turf. Looks like a small earth on the side, and the piece of track is completely solid as a rock. This is very important. You need to let it dry for 24 hours. Then the final step for me is to use some chalk powder. I use brown and I use black powder. I only use a different brush in the middle of the track. This I believe is black, and then I use brown. But you can play with this black, brown, burnt amber, or perhaps some uh, rose colors. This will give you the final look for this clinic. And remember, if you don't like the weather, well, try only to apply and no weather. And this is the small diorama that I work for my channel, and I have the main track and I have the abandoned track. And I like the result, and obviously I need to improve. I need to keep practice. But these are my advice for you. Practice. Try to use the different techniques before or after apply the weather. And now let's talk about turnouts a point. What is the difference? Okay, the process almost the same. What is the difference? The difference is between my fingers. This mobile section, you don't need paint, you don't need glue, and we don't need ballast in this section because this uh, will ruin the the turnout. So simple, use a tape in this section and apply the technique that we just saw in the same way. Let it dry, and it will look great. That's it. That's very simple. But remember, you don't need to apply PVA or paint in this section. 24 hours later, remove the tape, and this is very important. Use small drops of PVA between the ties. This place, small drops of PVA right here. Then, with the spoon, add some ballast. Be careful, do not touch the rail inside or outside. So you don't need to apply wet water, you don't need to apply anything else. Just small drops of PVA, full PVA, and a small piece of ballast. At the end, you will have something like this. And it works perfectly, and it looks natural. And the most important, we take care about the conductivity in the turnout. We try not to use PVA or picture in the in the mobile section around here. And Gordy, I believe this is all the video. Or Bruce, are you
That's
there?
great. Okay.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, no, I'm here. So if you stop sharing, we'll go to questions. I think we've got a few in the chat there. I think Bruce has got them ready. So
Yeah.
I'll just minimize that.
Whoops.
Just
If I hit the
sort
right
a
tab
few
in there.
things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always useful, eh, Bruce?
Yes. Yeah. Uh, one question has come up, and how do you keep the glue out of the switch points, which I think you were just kind of showing there? But do you take any precautions besides what you just showed us to keep the glue
Yeah.
from out of the switch points?
Yeah. Some important thing that I need to say again is well, obviously, first you need to use tape in the point. Then do not use the PVA solution. You will only need small drops of 100% PVA between the ties. And be careful with the spoon, apply some ballast. You see the final result. It worked for me. This is a small switch number 4 from Atlas, but it worked great. If you have like Pico, like you have Micro Engineer, and you have the bigger switch, it's all the same. You need to be careful with the mobile section in the rails.
Okay. Somebody else has suggested he puts full strength glue down before he puts the turnout in place, and then puts ballast in place.
Oh yeah, I heard that about. I saw a video when they have a big layout, and in order to have the proper adherence to the surface, that's what they do. They apply only PVA in the bottom, and then they apply all the process like I did. But this is why you need to use wet water solution. Wet water solutions allow you to break the tension in the ballast. So all the PVA should go all the way, and but both techniques are correct.
Yeah. So basically, you're using the wet water to
Yeah, and
soak the ballast and not everything else.
yeah, perhaps it's kind of messy,
Yeah.
but the results for me are great. You need to only 1 day, and it's really solid as a rock, and the white stuff disappear because it's on
Yes.
PVA and it disappear.
Yeah. And then another final question: somebody is wondering if you ever just use dry ballast in the area of the points without putting any glue down at all. Just put the
Oh
ballast in dry.
yeah, the dry ballast could you could use dry ballast if your layout is fixed. But sometimes you have like a modular layout. You need to move around. You need to turn around the layout, and
You'd be losing a lot of ballast. Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct. So if you have a fixed layout, that's great. I haven't used it now, but that sounds kind of logic to me. If you have fixed layout.
Yeah. I have a question. When you were talking about painting your rail, have you ever tried using some of the paint markers and the like the rusty brown and uh, dark colors to look like a magic marker to paint the rail rather than using a spray can?
Yeah, I have tried that, but I have a problem with that. You spend a lot of money. For example, Wooden Cynic had this wonderful pen. I believe that I have around here someone, but the tip always something happened with the tip, and the pen only worked like for 3 feet or 1 meter if you're in UK, and you need to replace the tip and you need to spend more money. They look great if you are doing a small diorama because they have this rose color, tie color. They have like different mix, not only woolen. They have different brands. But the problem again, well, if you have enough money, there's no problem.
So you're saying they're expensive, whereas
Yeah,
your $1.50 can of paint goes a long way.
that's correct. I believe the one pen is between $5 or $8, one pen.
Yeah.
You-
Okay.
and and the picture and the paint that I use is like $1 can or $1 for, and you can use it in a bigger layout.
Well, very good. Well, thank you very much, Eduardo. Thanks for bearing with us with our technical issues we've been having. Great presentation. I certainly enjoyed it and look forward to getting over and looking at your YouTube channel. So, on
Thank you.
behalf of NMRA Gateway, we appreciate your clinic and we'll hopefully see you later somewhere.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have my all week planned to attend the meetings. I have several options, and I'm really happy to be part of this.
Well, we're glad you joined us. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. See you, everybody.
Thank you.